A very good morning, inCruises family. This is Tatiana here, your supplier support manager. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So happy and excited to have all of you here at our Insiders Advantage webinar. Guys, please let me know if you can hear me. Send me some thumbs up or hearts or any emojis. I just want to make sure that my camera is working, that my sound is working, that everything is working. So let me see your energy. Let me see those hearts. I see hearts flying. I love it. Amazing. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm here presenting to you from Tampa, Florida. It is 9 a.m. here. I know our European friends, for you, it is afternoon. And for our friends from Asia, it's already evening, but it is so, so good to have everybody here. All right, awesome. I see a thumbs up. Buenos días from Puerto Rico, с Украины. Слышно и видно. Perfecto, buongiorno, ciao. I see Peru here, I see Italy, Brazil, Ireland, Uruguay. Hola, everybody. Japan, Chile. Great to see you two again. Greetings from Romania. Hello, Romania. Chile, Andorra, Uzbekistan. Angela from Uzbekistan. So good to see all of you. Well, guys, we are in the full summer swing. Yesterday was June 21st, summer solstice, the longest day of the year. The summer is here. Please let me know if you have already traveled somewhere this summer, if you've already been on the cruise this summer. What are you already doing in these days? June is already past us, so have you already traveled somewhere? Have you already done something fun? Canary Islands, Kyrgyzstan, Mexico, Colombia. Oh my God, all over the place from all around the world. Amazing. Buenas tardes de Barcelona, Uzbekistan, Panama, Yakutia, Kazakhstan. Everybody is here. So today we will have a very special presentation, and actually our guest is going to be giving you her presentation for the very first time. We haven't had this cruise line presenting yet, so we are extremely excited about this. All right, I see somebody's going on Valiant Lady. This looks amazing. So before we start, I just want to make sure that you know how to change your language. There is a little circle above the video where you can choose your language interpretation. When you choose your language, please make sure to shift a little roller all the way to the language you want to hear. We also have a function in our chat. So in the chat, you can change the language as well. Just click on that little circle there, and you can change the language of your chat. Make sure you do it before we start our webinar, our presentation. And finally, we will be showing the slides in English, but I know that our moderators and our translators have these slides in different languages. They are going to send those slides in the chat right now, so make sure you get those. So want to make sure that everybody is ready and prepared. We have Japan, we have English, Spanish, Russian, Portuguese, Chinese, Romanian, German, Ukrainian, Mongolian, and Italian. So you should get one of those slides. Make sure that you are ready so we can start. And the last thing, if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, please make sure to put them in the chat box. We have moderators who check those messages, send them to us, and we will have Q&A at the end of this webinar. So without further ado, let me present to you our guest. It is going to be Cunard Cruise Line, and I want to start with showing this amazing video to all of you. So please welcome today's presenter is Monica, Business Development Manager for National and Strategic Accounts from Cunard Cruise Line. Please, I see already all the thumbs up and hearts. Give her all your energy, and she is a part of our inCruises-inGroup family for sure. Good morning, Monica. Where are you connecting to us from?
Good morning, everyone. I am in Atlanta, Georgia today, and I welcome all of you. It's a real pleasure and an honor to be invited here, Tatiana, by you and the entire inCruises-inGroup family. So thank you very much for all of you joining this webinar today.
We are so thrilled to learn everything about Cunard. This is the first time we're having this presentation. So please take your time, show us all the amazing slides, and share all the knowledge about this beautiful cruise line.
Oh, thank you very much. So we'll go ahead and get started because I have so many different things and exciting things that I want to share with you about Cunard. Now, first, I want to mention to everyone that if you wish to know more about Cunard, of course, we always suggest and recommend that you follow us on social media. And not only do we have a wonderful Instagram account called Cunard Line, but we also have a wonderful Insider Advantage area for you to join. And that is through our Vice President of Sales. Her name, and she's a lovely lady, is Jamie Payco. And you can follow her at Cunard NAM Sales. That's Cunard North American Sales. She'd be delighted to have all of you be her new viewers and followers. So for those of you, and I imagine there are many well-traveled here on this webinar today, but for those of you that are not familiar, let me tell you a little bit about the Cunard story. And it is quite an amazing history, Cunard. Did you know that we have been in existence for over 180 years? We have a legendary fleet of beautiful ships that have been bringing people together from all over the world for quite a long time. Now, something I'm going to be sharing on this webinar is, of course, the excitement of a new ship, and that will be the beautiful Queen Anne. That ship will be joining our fleet next year. But in the meantime, I wanted to share with you a fun fact that Queen Anne will in fact be the 249th ship ever to be built under the flagship of Cunard. So our history is long and glorious, and we have so much to share because we are truly a global brand. Now, White Star service is a very, very important part of what the Cunard experience is. Not only do our staff welcome you aboard in a warm and very friendly way, we want to show you the highlights, especially of fine service, displayed not only in the interactions that you have on board with our staff and our crew, but also the wonderful way in which we deliver that White Star service. And here, these photos show you some examples of that, including our very famous and very popular afternoon tea with white gloves and silver trays, beautiful scones, freshly brewed teas, finger sandwiches, sweet and savory delights. It is certainly the highlight of every afternoon on board Cunard. Something that guests say that they really appreciate and enjoy about Cunard, actually there are three different things that they really highlight. But the first is the fact that guests feel special on board Cunard. And there are a number of reasons for that. Number one, not only the wonderful White Star service that we deliver, but in fact, we have one crew member for every 2 guests. And so that indicates a very high level of service. You're going to see in some of the upcoming images that I'm about to show you that we have incredibly beautiful suites and accommodations on board our ships, but we are most known for our luxury categories called the grills, Queen's Grill and Princess Grill. And then also part of that special feeling that guests have on board Cunard has to do with those unique and signature experiences. For instance, in the photo that you see here, these guests are enjoying a special hot chocolate drink as they are sitting outside on the open deck space, enjoying the beautiful views and the scenery of where they're traveling. Something else that guests say they really enjoy about Cunard, and that's the fact that they are inspired. So they are inspired by not only the iconic destinations that we visit, but also the beautiful voyages where we are recreating voyages of long ago, including our legendary transatlantic crossings. But we also offer world-class entertainment, enrichment, and cultural experiences called Insights, where we feature a number of guest speakers on a variety of different topics that engage the guests on board and are inspiring to learn new things. And then, of course, we have event voyages. These are very special, almost what we would call themed cruises. And this is another fun fact about Cunard. We are the innovator in the cruise industry, but also the innovator of theme cruises. And so now we call these unique themes event voyages, everything from art and history to culture, to literary, to music. There are so many different topics. The third area where guests feel very special aboard Cunard is the fact that they enjoy the freedom of cruising, the beautiful oceans, the ultra spaciousness of our ships. And I'll talk about the size of each of the ships and the guest capacity, because that helps you understand just how Cunard is special in that way, making the spaciousness of the ships very comfortable and relaxing. Also, a nice combination of days at sea and days in port to really be able to experience the destinations. And then, of course, the flexibility to dress to the nines on our gala evenings in formal attire and beautiful gowns and tuxedos, to other times where it's a relaxed environment to be more casual. And so something that's very special about Cunard is the fact that people enjoy a night out on the town. It begins, well, actually, let me start at the beginning. It begins with our afternoon dance lesson. And in the right side of the page here, you see our beautiful Queen's Room. Our international dance host team will typically demonstrate the dance step of the day at high noon, at 12 noon each day. And guests are welcome to come to the Queen's Room to learn that dance step. Excuse me one moment, please. I believe I have a technical situation. Okay, one moment. Sorry, I'm getting a low battery feed. Okay, that should be better now. So you get to learn the dance step of the day at 12 noon. And then in the evening, when guests arrive before dinner, perhaps for a glass of champagne, to the Queen's Room, and now they're dressed for a gala evening, they're ready to practice that dance step that they learned that day. And so we have a beautiful 13-piece orchestra. People are dancing to the sounds of the big bands, and also classical waltz and tango and all different types of music. And then they'll go on to dinner and have a very, very nice meal. And then people typically come back to the Queen's Room to dance the night away. So it is quite special when we have those evenings, the galas in the Queen's Room. But you know, Cunard is elegance on a grand scale. And we say this because these are iconic ships built for the luxury guest. And it's for all the reasons that you see here that Cunard is really something very, very special. Now, let's take a look at accommodations. So first, on the upper left-hand side, what you'll see, this is actually the living area of one of our top suites in the Queen's Grill. So this would be typically a one-bedroom suite that can accommodate up to 4 guests. But in all of the Queen's Grill accommodations, we have butler service that can take care of all of those details. For instance, making an alternative dining reservation, to unpacking your items, or to packing up at the end of the trip. Or perhaps you'd like to arrange a private cocktail party in your suite for friends and family that are traveling with you, or perhaps for new friends that you've made on board. To the upper right-hand side of the screen, you see now our junior suites, and these are called Princess Grill. Also beautiful accommodations, very well appointed. In the lower left, you see Britannia Balcony Club. These are our top category of balcony accommodations on board the Cunard ships. And then also on the lower right-hand side, you see Britannia Balcony. So Britannia Balcony, Britannia Ocean View, Britannia Inside Staterooms, as well as we have a number of solo occupancy staterooms for the individual traveler. All of those dine in the beautiful and elegant Britannia dining room. However, each of the other 3, Britannia Club, Princess Grill and Queen's Grill all have their own unique and individual beautiful dining rooms where their table is assigned and waiting for them as they enter the dining room for their meals. They can come in and stay as long as they wish. Of course, though, the majority of the guests on each ship actually dine in the Britannia restaurant, which is our beautiful 2-story dining venue. And here you see a picture of that. So in other words, the majority of the guests on the ship are dining in this beautiful dining venue called Britannia Restaurant. This happens to be an artist rendering of the dining room on our brand new ship, Queen Anne. But isn't it elegant? It just reminds me of something so special and so Art Deco inspired. I'd like to also give you a little bit of a tour in terms of a little bit of a closer look in as far as accommodations are concerned. And so the Britannia balcony stateroom, as I mentioned to you, has a wonderful sitting area, balcony accommodation. This happens to be something from Queen Mary too. We also have, as you can see, something similar for Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth. And then Princess Grill, so junior suites, a little bit larger, more spacious accommodations. And it also varies a little bit whether it's Queen Mary II, Queen Victoria, and Queen Elizabeth. We have those here together on the same screen because in fact they are sister ships. In other words, almost identical in their footprint. But what I'd like for you to know about some of these elevated dining experiences that we provide are a very unique continental style of European service, oftentimes tableside preparation, whether it's bananas Foster, cherries Jubilee for dessert, or even perhaps a Dover sole filleted directly tableside and prepared. So for our top restaurants, that's the level of service that you can expect on board Cunard. Here aboard Queen Elizabeth is, again, this beautiful living area of one of our top suites. Many of these suites start at 500 square feet in footage and then go up to 2,200 square feet. Aboard Queen Mary II, we even have duplex suites, meaning a lower level that you see here, the living area, and then going upstairs to the upper level, which has a beautiful bedroom area, walk-in closet, a separate shower, and a bathtub, beautiful marble accommodations. It's really quite nice. But of course, entertainment on board Cunard is something you'll find really and truly amazing. Here you'll see the Royal Court Theater. This is a main entertainment venue on board our ships. On gala evenings, when people are really dressing up in fancy attire, we will have a London West End style show, or perhaps something similar to Broadway. You will be astounded by the caliber of the performers on board Cunard. The singers, the dancers, the musicians, even the stage set and design is high quality. And so, of course, entertainment is a very important part of the Cunard experience. And Queen Mary II happens to have the largest dance floor at sea. Our other ships also have large, beautiful wooden dance floors where guests dance the night away, and dancing to live music is, of course, very special on board Cunard. Health and wellness is a big part of what everyone enjoys in today's world of luxury travel. Mariel is the name of our spa experience on board Cunard. And in fact, it is not only what you see here, this thermal suite with the heated tile lounges, but also a beautiful thermo pool, as well as a wonderful spa with an incredible amount of gym equipment. So there is truly something for everyone in terms of health and wellness on board Cunard. But you know, not every evening is fancy and glamorous. We also have casual evenings in the Golden Lion pub, very British style venue, where you can watch international football, sports matches. We'll usually have someone playing some live music via guitar or maybe a duo. We even sing karaoke in the Golden Lion pub some evenings, as well as in our nightclub called the Yacht Club. But also you can hoist a pint of ale or lager in the Golden Lion pub and enjoy a casual lunch or dinner of, for instance, fish and chips. You might be wondering about children and the Cunard experience. In fact, we know so many of you out there do travel with the extended family, from the grandparents to the parents to the children. Cunard offers children's programs. In fact, that's another fun fact about Cunard. We were the first to offer a children's program on board cruise ships a long time ago, because we understand the value of the family traveling together. But we also know that children need to be engaged in quality activities, age appropriate, so that parents and grandparents can also enjoy themselves on board the cruise. Now I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our ships. Queen Mary 2 is what we call our flagships. It's such a beautiful and well-recognized ship all over the world. In fact, Queen Mary 2 is still the largest, fastest ocean liner sailing on the high seas. An ocean liner is different from a cruise ship. You can see from her narrow bow that she is able to slice through the waves at a very high speed, allowing her maximum stability, especially when traveling across the Atlantic, primarily between May and December every year. But we also do offer a variety of other itineraries aboard Queen Mary 2, including a world cruise. Typically, world cruises take place between January and April or May each year. Now, one can choose to take part in the entire 123 nights or shorter segments thereof. The point is, we're traveling primarily in the Southern Hemisphere at the best time of year, some of the most amazing ports around the world. This gives you an idea of where we will be traveling beginning in January of 2024. On the screen here, where you see in capital letters ON, that represents overnight. The ship is staying for 2 days and an overnight in all those destinations to allow guests to really go ashore and enjoy those world-class cities. Those points are also where guests can join the ship or depart the ship if they're looking for a shorter voyage. For instance, here we have New York to Cape Town. This might be a wonderful combination then to depart the ship in Cape Town and then make your way to the garden route, the wine country of South Africa, or perhaps pair that with one of your other partners that offer a wonderful African safari, for instance. And then here you see another segment of 61 nights, but really the best of Southeast Asia and through the Suez Canal and the Mediterranean, terminating in England. And this also is another wonderful segment, boarding in Dubai and taking the ship all the way back to New York. The final leg, of course, being one of those world-class transatlantic segments, which we offer typically 7 night voyages. And by the way, for those of you looking for something unique and interesting and truly inspirational, a transatlantic voyage is something very, very special. 7 days to explore Queen Mary 2 with all the activities, amenities, and wonderful parties in the evening. It's very enjoyable. Now, Queen Victoria is another one of our ships. And before I go on, I should mention, in case you're wondering, Queen Mary 2 is a ship of 2,600 guests. However, for her size, she could hold more than twice as many guests. But at Cunard, that goes to show you how we offer spacious accommodations and beautiful, grand and elegant public rooms so that it really is a wonderful quality experience. As we move on in our fleet to Queen Victoria, she is a smaller ship than Queen Mary 2, holding just 2,000 guests. But ships of her size in other fleets or other cruise lines hold several hundred more guests. So I'm just giving you an idea of the space comparison, okay? It gives you sort of a point of reference in terms of the size of our ships. Queen Victoria also offers a fabulous world cruise and what we would call a true circumnavigation of the globe. Queen Victoria also offers this unique one-time opportunity between England and Fort Lauderdale. What a great way to travel. You see that we also make some stops in Bermuda as well as Port Canaveral in northern Florida and then going on to southern Florida, USA. The Panama Canal is a very unique and special opportunity. It is truly an engineering marvel. And so a great way to travel and enjoy the best of some of the Caribbean islands, as well as Central America. San Francisco to Sydney, of course, is very special because that's a great way to visit not only the North and South Islands of New Zealand, as well as ending the cruise in Sydney. And then you can view or travel around Australia, even by land, on a different type of a tour. Here you can see this particular itinerary where, again, we have the ON, or the overnights, in places like Honolulu and Sydney and Hong Kong, Singapore, and Cape Town as well. Queen Elizabeth is the sister ship to Queen Victoria. Again, just 2,000 guests, but she travels to some beautiful places, including Alaska, as well as Asia and Australia. In fact, currently, she's traveling round trip from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, to beautiful ports throughout scenic Alaska. Before Queen Elizabeth arrives in Alaska each summer, she has a wonderful spring season out of our port in Tokyo. And therefore, there are a number of wonderful itineraries. You know, Japan is such a beautiful and scenic country with a wonderful people ready to welcome visitors to Japan. These itineraries are so popular, and in fact, it's a wonderful way to visit the beautiful island nation of Japan. So as I mentioned, Queen Elizabeth makes her way from Japan to Alaska, cruising round trip from Vancouver. There are beautiful glacier viewing opportunities, and in fact, what makes Cunard different versus other cruise lines in Alaska, we often spend 9 to 10 hours each day in the various ports, and that allows you as a guest on board the ship to go ashore and experience the small little towns and villages along the coastal areas of Southeast Alaska, and a chance to really tour the area. Here are the different Alaska itineraries, and for those of you that wish to board the ship in Tokyo, you can make your way across the Pacific all the way to Alaska. So that's a wonderful 29-night itinerary. But as you can see, we are in Alaska at the prime season, meaning between May and September, the perfect time of year to be in Alaska. I was in Alaska just a few weeks ago. It was still rather early in the season. Some days were very cool, so we wore jackets and hats and gloves. But it was also beautiful and sunny during the port days, and we enjoyed touring around. Here are some ideas of some different itineraries for Alaska. Ketchikan, Juneau, Sitka are some of the small places that we travel to, and at her size, Queen Elizabeth is a perfect ship for touring in Alaska. Here you get an idea of the scenic beauty, the snow-capped peaks, even in the summertime, and the beautiful glaciers, and the small and charming villages as well. The culture of the people of Alaska is warm and welcoming. They have a long history. And in places like Ketchikan, you can even visit some of the local totem pole carvers. Totem poles are trees that have been forested, and then they are carving stories to last for the generations about their history and culture. It's really very special. And so Alaska truly is a vast wilderness. And here you can see some of the different points about why Alaska is so special. We even have different culinary experiences on Queen Elizabeth in Alaska. Not only can guests go ashore and visit some of the most famous restaurants in these small towns and their specialty entrees that they offer, but on board the ship, we offer an Alaska-themed enhanced afternoon tea that has everything from pumpkin scones to other savory items, as well as fabulous, even mini little baked Alaska desserts. We also serve some local craft beers from the Alaskan Brewing Company, and even some special Alaska-inspired cocktails. On our gala evenings in Alaska, you can dress to impress during the spectacular Ice White Ball. That's where ladies will wear a shimmery white or a sparkly blue dress, and gentlemen might have coordinating accessories. We have wonderful world-class shows and performances by local artists, but it really is something very special and a sense of occasion. Did you know that when we travel in Alaska, we also have the services of the national parks? Alaska is very well protected under the United States National Park Service, so these are preserved areas for future generations and for continued travel opportunities. But we have guided commentary from heritage guides and the local and indigenous people of Alaska that share their culture and stories with us on board. There are also world-class and world-famous explorers, scientists, and people that have ascended the Great Mountain of Denali. And so therefore, what we offer you at Cunard is a really in-depth look at all of Alaska. I mentioned to you that after Queen Elizabeth then leaves Alaska in the fall season, she makes her way to home ports in Australia and New Zealand for the winter season. And this slide gives you an idea of all of the ports that we travel in that area. And here you see some different itineraries where she will start and end in Sydney and incorporate North Island and South Island of New Zealand and other parts of the South Pacific. Again, just showing you on the map where we travel to. It's a great way to be able to see maybe some places that you've always thought about visiting, but it's either a long plane ride or you thought, how will I travel to this area? I'm not sure about hotels and how to get around. A cruise is really a great way to travel to many different places around the world. This is one of my favorites, the full circumnavigation of Australia. And Cunard is a fleet of ships that are all about celebration. This happens to be a wonderful holiday voyage aboard Queen Elizabeth happening late next year. Queen Anne, let's talk about Queen Anne because she will be the newest ship in the Cunard fleet. So that will bring 4 ships, rounding out our fleet. And as I mentioned earlier, the 249th ship ever built for Cunard. What an incredible history. Queen Anne will be based out of our home port of Southampton, England, which is not far from London, just an hour and a half south on the English Channel. So very easy then to travel to many ports throughout Northern Europe, the Mediterranean, British Isles, and more. This is one of my favorites as well. I'll tell you, so many itineraries are a favorite of mine with Cunard. But here we're going to be cruising out of Southampton and making our way to 4 different ports around Iceland and even an overnight. People tell me hotel accommodations and restaurants and dining can be quite expensive in Iceland. However, when you travel on a cruise, you're visiting all of those places and getting to go ashore and tour the hot springs and enjoy all that Iceland has to offer, and then come back to the ship and enjoy the meals that are included in your cruise fare and wonderful entertainment, just like your own floating hotel. Scandinavia is always beautiful and so popular aboard Cunard. We offer itineraries all the way even up to the Arctic Circle in Tromsø. And here you see a nice example of Western Mediterranean. The Northern Lights. So many of us are in search of the Northern Lights. Sometimes they can be seen in Alaska later on in the fall season. And also here as we travel in September and October, all the way up to Norway. And yes, oftentimes it is possible to see the Northern Lights. Another special island celebration in the Canary Islands in December of next year. Queen Anne will offer what we call her maiden world cruise in 2025. It's not too early to start planning travel for that far in the future. You know that world travel is extremely popular. People are traveling all over the world. And a world cruise is a great way to see some of the most wonderful ports throughout the world. We still have until June 28th, so just another few days now for all of these what we call early booking benefits for Queen Anne World Cruise beginning in January of 2025. So you get the idea that it is important to book early for the best value and the most inclusions and amenities. Queen Mary 2, of course, our flagship. I'm going to round out the presentation now. For those of you that have thought about doing something fun and unique and special, treat yourself to a transatlantic crossing. 7 glorious days across the Atlantic, although some of these departures either start or end in Hamburg, Germany. And so that just adds an extra 2 days to get to Southampton and then 7 days on to New York. We typically have one voyage a year, which happens in May between Le Havre, France, and New York. I mentioned to you what was once called a theme cruise, which are now event voyages. Soon we'll have our schedule for 2024, but for this year, I just wanted to show you the depth of what we offer, from ballet to food and wine to world-class orchestral music to a festival of literature. In case you're wondering, and this is another fun fact about Cunard, Cunard, and specifically Queen Mary II, offers the only kennels at sea. Now, I know this might bring up a lot of questions, but let me try to briefly describe. There are many people traveling between North America and Europe. So what we do is we have 24 kennels on board Queen Mary II, where we can accommodate dogs, and some cats do travel with us. They are well taken care of by our kennel masters on the ship. So in other words, they don't go to your stateroom to travel with you, but it's a safe way to travel and transport pets across the Atlantic so that they can get on to the next continent. But it really is quite special. And of course, we like to do a lot of different photo opportunities. So it's a really, really reassuring way for pet owners to be able to travel between the continents on Cunard. Queen Mary II offers unique departures that incorporate the round-trip transatlantic crossing combined with other trips in Europe. So we call these grand voyages because they are a little bit longer, but a great way to travel. Very soon we have the independence of the United States and the celebration coming up, where we go to Boston on the 4th of July, which is a national holiday in America. And then we also go on to Halifax, which, by the way, is the birthplace of our founder, Sir Samuel Cunard. Norwegian fjords. These are all some unique itineraries, even Canada, New England. For those of you that might know the area, we also travel on the St. Lawrence Seaway all the way to Quebec City. What a beautiful international city, very, very special. Even in the fall, when the leaves are changing to beautiful colors of orange and yellow and rust color, it's such a wonderful way to travel in the fall. We even go to the British Isles from New York. So you get an idea. I wanted to show you these slides because you get an idea of the full range of itineraries that Cunard offers. And yes, periodically we do go to the sunny islands of the Caribbean. And this is out of New York in November, as well as in December. And so Queen Victoria, for those of you interested in Europe, has a variety of itineraries throughout the Mediterranean, where you're boarding the ship typically in Barcelona or Rome. We also have a port that we're using now called Trieste in northern Italy. And this is our alternative to Venice, since the lagoons have become more fragile, and to be environmentally friendly and to respect the ecosystem, we now cruise out of Trieste. You can see the variety of itineraries that we offer, even in the Adriatic. One of my favorite places, Istanbul, and of course the very, very special area, beautifully preserved, called Ephesus. Queen Victoria is offering a unique Circle South America cruise in 2025. Highly recommended. It's very popular. We do still have a little bit of availability. So if that's something you're interested in, please do not hesitate. As a Cunard traveler, and perhaps some of you have traveled with us before, based on the number of days, you are a Cunarder. You are part of our World Club membership. And in addition to that, inCruises will make sure that you have your proper savings and benefits based on your club ID number of past travel with Cunard. So on behalf of all of us at Cunard, including our Vice President of Sales in North America, Jamie Paco, I hope you will follow her on Facebook. I thank everyone for being here. And I think at this time, I'll reconnect now with Tatiana and maybe see if I can answer some questions.
Monica, thank you so much for an incredible, absolutely amazing presentation. We got so many comments, so many wows and amazing and incredible, and people really would love to go and explore Cunard. I wrote down some comments. I believe it was Barry from England. He said, I did Cunard transatlantic from New York to Southampton, and it was the most iconic cruise I have ever taken.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and there were a lot of comments about people previously going on Queen Elizabeth, and just, saying how unique and elegant and beautiful the ship is, and just, truly amazing.
Thank you. That is certainly world class. Those of you that have been to Dubai, this is a little fun fact. You probably have noticed a ship that looks like a Cunard vessel. And in fact, it is our beautiful Queen Elizabeth II, which was an icon in our fleet, which deployed in the late 1960s. And until the early 90s was a part of the Cunard family. At that time, the ship was retired, and now it is a beautiful, elegant floating hotel in Dubai. So with some beautiful suites, I'm told. So we're is there. And so if you have the chance to go, please go see the Queen Elizabeth II in Dubai.
Wow. So I have a question, actually. I'm just wondering, where did the names come from? Like, right, every ship is a queen, but how did this concept became a part of Cunard?
Yes, well, it's a great question. As I mentioned, we have an over 183-year history. And back in the original days, our ships ended with IA. We had ships like Britannia, Mauritania, Lusitania, Coronia, Franconia. And then as things evolved, it's funny you mentioned that, because then we started naming in the 1930s. We started naming ships after the queens. We had a Queen Elizabeth, then we had a Queen Mary, and then Queen Elizabeth II came. And now I guess as a nod to our heritage, the ships are being named after well-loved leaders of Britain and strong women that valued culture and history and education. And so I think that's the direction that we're going now.
I love it. So Britannia, the famous Britannia, was part of Cunard Cruise Line.
Yes.
That's so interesting.
Yes.
Okay, I have a few questions, and if you guys have any more questions, please write them in the chat. But I wrote some down. When you are on Cunard ship, what are their daily tips, daily gratuities that a guest pay?
Yes, very good question. The daily, what we call gratuities, we actually call hotel dining and service charges. So that would include the gratuities to not only your stateroom steward, but any of our dining, restaurant, wait staff, etc. $14.50 US per day. Now, if you are in a suite like Princess Grill and Queen's Grill, that would be $16.50 per day. For any cocktails or beverages, there's an automatic gratuity of 15% that's added on per cocktail. If you choose to purchase our beverage package, that's running about $70 US per person per day, and that does include the beverage gratuity.
Nice. Another question was, sorry, so many. I'm trying to scroll through the chat as well. So you showed those long voyages, 60 days, 30 days, going from England all the way to Sydney. For
Yes.
those voyages, can you book like a part of the trip, a leg of the trip, or do you book the whole 60-day voyage?
Yes. Okay. Great question. Typically, our longest voyages, like World Cruise, can be upwards of 98 to 123 days. However, there are segments thereof that are possible to be booked. So only certain ports are eligible for embarkation. So where you saw Sydney and Hong Kong and Singapore and Dubai, those are some of those embarkation ports. But we can also help you, decipher all of that, because we realize it's quite a variety. There's quite a variety of itineraries. So yes, some are specifically designed for that full length, and others are possible to book segments thereof.
Nice. Another question about about pets on board. People were so impressed by those photos. Question: when traveling in the transatlantic with pets, are we able to visit and play with them? Also, can we walk the dogs outside the pet areas? Outside the pet areas.
Okay, very good question. When you are traveling with the pet that will be in our kennel area, yes, we have an area for the owners to come up. A lot of times they'll bring a cup of coffee and they'll watch their fur babies running around and having a great time. There is lots of outdoor open deck space where they run and play. And in fact, so some may appreciate this because it's quite comical. We even offer a lamppost from Liverpool and a fire hydrant from Brooklyn, so that everybody is comfortable. But yes, that's where they go and they run and play. So it's in a specifically designated area where the owners can come up, and it's typically 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and they can enjoy that time together.
Nice. Another question, is it advisable to take travel insurance directly with Cunard? Do you offer some sort of travel insurance, or is it a guest responsibility and they have to take private travel insurance?
Yes. Well, look, it's an excellent question. And for whoever asked that, thank you, because for the benefit of all, it is always highly recommended to have travel protection. Now, there are a couple of different kinds of insurance, but yes, we do offer a vacation protection program. It is a percentage of the total cruise fare, but I think each individual has to weigh their own options, because there are some policies, a couple of things here. Number one, you are protecting the investment of the price that you paid, the cost of the trip. And then there's another factor that involves health-wise and illness or injury. So it's
medical insurance, right?
Medical insurance. Yes, travel protection to protect the investment of the cost paid, because there are cancellation fees involved should you decide not to travel. Some are covered for health reasons, some are not. Depending on the depth of the insurance and depending on the age and health of the individual traveler, there are so many factors to consider. But yes, we do sell a policy. We offer a policy that will protect on both of those areas.
Nice. Yeah, I always recommend taking a travel insurance, because you never know. And it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So
agreed.
Try to get it. Another question: how many passengers can your cruise liners accommodate? I know that they come in different shapes and sizes, but on average.
Yes. Well, Queen Anne, our newest ship, will hold 3,000 guests and will be a size of 113,000 tons. So it's a term we use in the industry, but when you take a look at it, it's Cunard offers a nice, what we call, space ratio for guest space versus the size of the ship itself. Queen Mary 2 is 150,000 tons. It's an enormous ship, but only holds 2,600 guests. A ship of that size could hold at least twice as many actual guests. So we always talk about that, and not including crew, but always the guest space. Very, very large. And then Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth are of a similar size at about 90,000 tons. They each hold 2,000 guests. There are ships out there in this size range that hold closer to 3,000 guests. So I think what you find with Cunard is a very nice space ratio.
And do you know the guest to crew ratio?
Yes, for Cunard, typically we strive for one crew member for every two guests.
Wow. So just a little feedback. This is a very common term in the cruise industry to evaluate, let's say, how spacious the ship is, how crowded it can get, what kind of service can be provided when you get this guest to crew ratio. Sometimes there is, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 guests per crew member, and 2 guests per crew member means that you will get this, wide glove kind of service while you're on board. Very highly luxurious kind of experience that you can have.
Yes, a lot of our crew members already come to us very well trained from some of the most wonderful resorts and fine dining around the world. But then they go to our White Star Academy so that they understand the Cunard delivery of service and how things are done. Of course, if guests are in a suite like Queen's Grill, you have an even added element there of your own butler really to attend to all of your needs. And so you'll find with Cunard, we have value at every price point, right? So we have all different kinds of accommodations. But what's the commonality for our guests on board is that they enjoy art, music, history, culture, dance, wonderful service, warm and welcoming atmosphere. Even solo travelers never really feel alone because it is such a welcoming, friendly atmosphere. And it just provides such a wonderful way to travel.
I totally agree. I know that it's already past 10. Do you still have some time to stay with us and answer a few more questions?
Oh, I'd be glad to. It's really my honor. Thank you, everyone, for your interest and enthusiasm. I'm really so impressed with how many people here have traveled, and I'm seeing some of the comments that I can read in English, and it's just you all have welcomed Cunard, and I really feel that Cunard is something special. Obviously, I've worked for the company for 24 years now, so it really means so much to me that you all are here spending time with us today.
Yes, a lot of questions, and so much interest in the cruise line. And again, I said this previously. This is our first presentation from Cunard, so that's why everybody's so excited to have you here with us. Of course.
Thank you.
Let me read another one. Do all cabins have a balcony? These all balcony cabins, or you have inside ocean view and those categories as well?
Yes. Again, because Cunard offers value at every price point, we have everything from some of the finest suites on the high seas to interior staterooms. So not all accommodations have a balcony. However, what you'll find is, and we do have very detailed deck plans that you can take a look at, a large portion of our accommodations do have very spacious balconies. But in order to offer a value price point, we also have other accommodations. In fact, sometimes when people are traveling with the extended family, they might put maybe the kids or teenagers or whatever in, say, certain accommodations, maybe that have a window or a porthole, and then maybe the parents are going to have a balcony stateroom across the hall, that kind of thing.
Nice, because as you said, a lot of families, multi-generational families can travel as well, and then you can have a few cabins. Sorry, where was it? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just saw this question. Okay, so if the question was, if you are traveling from a U.S. port, if you're embarking a ship in the U.S. port, do you need a visa to do that if you're not from the United States?
Okay. This question will be very subjective because a lot of things are based on, nationality. In other words, the passport holder themselves. So we do have tools that we can guide you to various services and websites, but we do offer some guidance and suggestions. But inevitably, based on your passport and country, that's really where some of the differences come from. So that's going to be different. And I hate to be so vague about it, Tatiana, but yeah, that's something
that is exactly right. That's correct. There is unfortunately no single answer to this question because depending on where you're coming from, it can be very different. About Alaska, when does the Alaskan season end? So when would we have the latest ships in the season, and when does it start? Because I feel like after your presentation about Alaska, so many people would love to go and book it now and go this year. But I think with our 90-day lead time, it might be too late. So when does it start in 2024 and when does it finish?
Okay, so Queen Elizabeth will make her way from Japan to Vancouver to start the Alaska season in May of next year. So typically by late May, early June, we are arriving in Vancouver to start those itineraries, and then they'll continue on until September. So that is the general season for Alaska. That's the cruising season. That's the prime time to be there. In terms of when you talk about then best weather, even a lot of people prefer late June, July, early August, that kind of thing. But it's really a very special place. And even when I was there several weeks ago, it was still considered early season. We had some rainy days and we had to bundle up a bit, especially when we were out on deck in the beautiful Glacier Bay and Hubbard Glacier, some of the other glaciers, because that glacial water is so, so cold. But that's where you see the pods of whales or the sea otters. And then you're seeing all the different glaciers. But anyway, all that to say, I love Alaska too, but all that to say, that's the general season is May through September.
May through September. In my opinion, the best time to go is June, where you get the longest days. The sun basically never sets and you can be out in port till late and then get on the ship and it's still kind of, twilight time. It's really, really nice.
Yes, I love that because the scenery, the snow-capped mountains, these beautiful villages and such, it's really something special to see. And I like that there's so many hours of daylight so you don't miss a thing.
If we start talking about Alaska, we might spend another hour here. I see a question about the suite. How many people do you allow in a suite? And is it charged per person or I assume for the whole suite? I think that's
okay. Great question. What you'll find with Cunard is we primarily, in the majority of our accommodations, allow up to 4 guests. Now, so in the suites, it's up to 4 guests. For instance, there would be, say, a bedroom and then like a convertible sleeper sofa. And so the price is actually per person. So you would have the cost for the first and second guest would be a designated amount. And then the third guest and or the fourth guest would be at a reduced price, sometimes up to 50% less than what the first and second person paid. Yeah, because remember, with the meals included and entertainment and the facilities of the ship, it is a per person cost.
I love it. I think going and staying in the suite with your butler is the way to do it. I loved your comment when you said, I think it was in the beginning of the presentation, you said, oh, you can go to this venue and, before your dinner, just have a glass of champagne or have your cocktails and your sweet before you go for dinner. And that sounds like such an amazing, elevated, um, luxurious, elegant experience to me. And it just sounds so fascinating.
Oh, you know what I love about cruising though, Tatiana? It's the opportunity to travel to so many different countries. I mean, oftentimes, and I understand people like to travel by land and maybe, stay in some hotels and travel around. But what I find is that when you come back to the ship at the end of a wonderful day, you've gone out exploring and adventuring, you come back and you say, let me go, enjoy a nice beverage or a glass of wine, and then we're going to get ready for dinner, and then the ship is going to set sail, and you're on to the next destination, and it's just so relaxing to have unpacked just one time and come back to your beautiful accommodations, and it's all right there for you. And I love the convenience and the security of that.
And you can be out all day, come back to your room, change, take 17 steps to a beautiful venue with live music, take 20 more steps to your dining venue, take 15 more steps to watch the show, and then 20 steps back to your room. Honestly, I wear high heels only on cruise ships because this is the amount of walking I can do easily. It's so convenient, right?
Absolutely. And it's fun. I mean, some people do, I understand some people like to be more casual, and that's fine, because even on a gala evening, we do allow, we have different venues for you to go and have a more casual dinner and maybe, have your dessert or have a cocktail for dinner. But for the most part, what we find on Cunard is people love the sense of celebration. So they want to bring some of those fancy outfits, and it's a chance to really, dress up and celebrate life, enjoy travel and the beauty of this world.
So beautifully put.
Thank you.
Well, I think I went through most of the questions. Some of them I kind of combined, but Monica, just wanted to say once again, thank you so, so much for sharing all this information with us. If you have a second, if you go through the comments, you will see that people are just saying, thank you so much for sharing your time, sharing all this interesting information. Thank you for spending time with us, showing the slides, telling about Cunard, beautiful stories, beautiful itineraries, and thank you for your professionalism and so on. And I just really want to say that this was so inspirational, and I'm sure that everybody now is ready to experience Cunard, not only for the incredible itineraries, but also for, the uniqueness of the brand, the beautiful cabins and venues and live music, and what Cunard really represents. So thank you so much from our family.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me to your family. Thank you for all the wonderful comments. I'm truly excited for all of you to experience Cunard. It is something very, very special. Treat yourself. And I'm sending big hugs from right here in my town to all of you around the world.
Thank you very much. And just last comment, all the slides are available. Again, our moderators are putting those in the chat. So if you want to use those, please feel free to download them. And we also have videos from Cunard. So if you go to their YouTube page, they have some amazing, beautiful, inspirational videos. So much information. Please follow their Instagram. Please follow Jamie Peko on Facebook, and stay in touch. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon on board a Cunard ship.
Oh, thank you, Tati.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, Monica. Thank you once again.
You as well. Bye, everyone.